A very good evening and welcome. This is a brand new edition of Newsfirst Primetime News coming to you live and direct from our Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. Today is the 28th of October 2024. I am Janatha for the Newsfirst team.
And I'm Naveksha Gunasekara, and here are your headlines for tonight.
Newsfirst Headlines. Main sponsor.
A trusted place for your fixed deposit. Valuable FD, a symbol of stability.
President calls for immediate reform of government procurement process. US Ambassador clarifies no travel ban on Sri Lanka, only security advisory for Arugambe.
Sri Lanka remains at level 2.
Government focused on security, not media hype, says President. Ranjan denies allegations of paying students to attend the meeting, calling it an organized effort to discredit him. Complaints of news scams circulating on WhatsApp.
Newsfirst Headlines. Main sponsor.
A trusted place for your fixed deposit. Valuable FD, a symbol of stability. A trusted place for your fixed deposit. Valuable FD, a symbol of stability.
President Damitharatna has emphasized the need for stringent measures to prevent procurement fraud and corruption. This statement was made during a meeting with officials from the National Procurement Commission at the President's office.
The President highlighted the importance of implementing a structured plan to strengthen the National Procurement Commission. According to a statement from the President's Media Division, President Dissanayake engaged in extensive discussions with officials regarding the current procurement laws and processes. Officials pointed out existing issues related to the non-compliance with current laws and guidelines in procurement activities. They noted that approximately 60% of all government expenditures, including capital expenditures, should be conducted through proper procurement processes. However, due to deficiencies in these processes, the government incurs significant losses, creating more opportunities for fraud and corruption. Discussions also covered potential delays, lack of transparency and inefficiencies in the procurement process. President Dissanayake stressed the need to expand the powers of the National Procurement Commission and to implement systematic procurement plans to address these issues.
Julie Chang, the US Ambassador to Sri Lanka, has clarified that there is no travel ban on Sri Lanka. Speaking at the US Embassy in Colombo, she confirmed that the security advisory for Sri Lanka remains at level 2, similar to popular destinations such as France, Italy and the Maldives.
When we became aware of a specific threat in the Arugambe area, we shared these known details with Sri Lankan authorities, who responded quickly. We continue to actively coordinate with them on a daily basis, and we value our partnership with Sri Lanka's leadership and security officials, whose commitment to safety and transparency is notable. I want to also correct some misinformation out there. There is no travel ban on Sri Lanka. Our security alert last week is for Americans to avoid Arugambe until further notice. But our overall security advisory, travel advisory for Sri Lanka remains exactly the same at level 2, which has been so for many years. And this is similar to advisories of many other popular destinations, including the Maldives, France, and Italy. All the same at level 2, Sri Lanka remains at level 2.
The Terrorist Investigation Division or TID has uncovered information about additional suspects linked to the planned attack on the Arugambe tourist area. This revelation came from statements extracted from 4 suspects currently in custody, and these facts were reported to Colombo Additional Magistrate Pasan Amarasena. The investigation, which targets a potential terrorist attack on a popular tourist zone frequented by foreign visitors, has led to the filing of a special motion in court. Detectives disclosed that they have identified identified more suspects, suspected to be followers of leaders and representatives of foreign terrorist organizations. These individuals are suspected of planning the attack with the knowledge and support of these organizations. Efforts are now underway to apprehend these additional suspects. The TID has requested court permission to further interrogate the suspects currently in remand custody to gather more information. The request was made through a special motion highlighting the need for continued investigations based on the suspects' statements. The investigation into the incident began last September, and the TID emphasized the necessity of obtaining further details from the detained suspects to advance the case. The additional magistrate, after reviewing the TID's findings and special report, ordered that the progress of the investigation be promptly reported to the court.
President Anukumara Dissanayake said that the government's primary responsibility is to ensure the safety of its citizens rather than holding press conferences. He made these remarks yesterday in Kaluthara, responding to concerns raised about security in the Arugambe area. The president noted that some individuals believe they can undermine the government by highlighting minor incidents. He stressed that all necessary measures have been taken to protect the public based on prior intelligence.
Our opposition is in a state of panic. They think they can bring down the government by highlighting minor incidents. When there was a threat of an attack, they immediately started holding press conferences. Why? Because they are happy. They think if something happens, the government will fall. Remember, we received information about this threat 3 to 4 weeks in advance. We meticulously planned to ensure the safety of tourists and the tourism industry, and we took final steps to apprehend those planning the attack. This is how a country is governed. Then some ask, why didn't you inform us about the threat? The government is responsible for knowing about threats and protecting the people. That is the government's duty. Is it the government's duty to hold press conferences? No, the government's duty is to act on any information about potential disasters and prevent them. We have fulfilled these responsibilities properly. However, the opposition thinks they can use any small opportunity to bring down the government. This government is focused on building the country, not turning back.
Foreign nationals who are visiting Sri Lanka shared their thoughts on the current situation of the country.
Just to say an example, I was supposed to be here 1 month. This is my 15th days that I am here, and I am going to extend my visa because I really feel great. I really feel the warmth of the people here. They're really friendly and loving, and I am going to be here at least for 2 months longer.
It's my first time in Sri Lanka, and I find a really safety country, lovely people, nice views, and amazing food.
I came to Sri Lanka just for a 1-week vacation. I love it. Absolutely love it. So I visited, I went on a safari and some cooking courses, things like this. However, the best thing is it feels so safe.
It's my first time in Sri Lanka. I go here because the French people recommend me. Sri Lanka is very beautiful, safety, and I will recommend it to visit this country. I'm very happy here.
Sri Lanka, Sri Lanka decides. Sri Lanka decides.
Leader of the United Democratic Voice, Ranen Ramana, says that a certain group carried out an organized attempt to undermine the popularity of his party convention. He made this statement in response to the allegations of paying students to attend the party's convention, which was held the day before yesterday.
A heated situation arose opposite the Sugatadasa Indoor Stadium in Colombo following the maiden convention of the United Democratic Voice led by Ranen Ramana the day before yesterday.
Ranen Ramana meeting. Ranen Ramana meeting. crowd day pennanne salli වලට අපිව ගෙන්නුවේ. එයා crowd day pennanne salli වලට අපිව ගෙන්නුවේ. එයාලා දැනගන්න ඕනේ salli වලට ගෙන්නවා නම් එයාලා හරියට අපිට salli දෙන්න එයාලා coordinator කියනවා එයා salli දානකන් ඉන්න කියලා. ඒ කියද්දි පොලිසියෙන් එයා අරන් ගියා. දැන් එයා අරන් ගියා අපි කොහොමද ගන්නේ salli? එයා දැනගන්න ඕනේ වැඩක් කරනවා නම් salli දීලා ඒ වැඩේ ඉවර කරලා දාන්න. අනිවාර්යයෙන් එයාලා කියනවා මේක නීතිමය ප්‍රශ්නයක් නෙමෙයි. මේක කොහොමද යන්නේ? මේක ඡන්ද නීති මනිසා නීතිමය ප්‍රශ්නයක් නෙමෙයි. එහෙනම් ඒක රංජන් රාමනායකත් දැනගන්න ඕන. එයාලා හරියට කට්ටිය දැන් ඕගොල්ලෝ යුනිවර්සිටි එකේද? ඔව් අපි යුනිවර්සිටි. දැන් ඕගොල්ලෝ මොනවා කියලාද එක්කන් ආවේ? අපි එක්කන් ආවේ පාර්ට් ටයිම් ජොබ් එකක් තියෙනවා. මෙහෙම සල්ලි හම්බ වෙනවා. කෑම බෑගට් එකක් හම්බ වෙනවා. එහෙම කියලා අපි එක්කන් ආවා. දැන් ඒ නියෝජනය කරපු එක්කනවද පොලිසියෙන් අරන් ගියා? එයා අරන් ගියා. කොහොමද කරන්නේ? එයා තමයි රංජන් රාමනායක කරා කෙලිම කන්ටැක්ට් එක කරා සල්ලි ගන්න. අපේ වල සල්ලි දානවා. අපි කොහොමද යන්නේ? කරා කෝඩිනේට් කරගන්න. ගෲප් එක කරා ඒ කොහොමද ඒ කට්ටිය අපි දන්නේ නැහැ. කොහෙ ඉන්නවද අපි කොහොමද කරගන්නේ?
Convening a media briefing, Ranen Ramana made an explanation on this matter.
අහිංසක දරුවෙක් තමයි එතන ඉන්නේ. ඔහු 2006 දී පුදුණු දරුවෙක්. ඔහු O level පන්තිවල අපොස සාමාන්‍ය පෙළ.
That is a child right there. Born in 2006. He is either an A-level or O-level student. Considering the child's future, the situation of his parents and their privacy, I shall not reveal his name. I shall make no mentioning about him either. They were claiming to the media that they are students of the University of Kelaniya. When we looked into this, that was not the case at all. There seems to be some misinformation spreading. A group that intended to undermine the popularity of our party convention had told this child to tell the media that he is a student of the University of Kelaniya. You know that if Ranen Ramana says something, he makes that statement with proof and data to back it all. They are not students of the University of Kelaniya. That itself is a lie. The rumor that university students broke one of our LED walls is also a lie. We have a lot of enemies. I do not even know who our friends are. I don't know why they consider us such a big threat. For them to attack us so much. This is a lie. I asked my friend Chandrika when the LED wall fell on her. Apparently that was right before my speech. She said she could not even listen to my speech because of that. This was not the doing of the university students. Attempts are being made to ruin the image of university students, claiming that they do anything for 2,000 rupees and a packet of rice. I do not condone this. Do not do that. They are not university students. These are not students of the University of Kelaniya. Various media institutions have published reports on this.
මේ කැලණියය නෙමෙයි. මේ නාලිකාවල නිකුත් වුණු වීඩියෝ එකේ තියෙන්නේ අක්කේ මේ අහන්න අපේ සල්ලි අපිට දෙන්න. ඉතින් මේ අක්කා කෙනෙක් නෙමෙයි. මේ අක්කා කෙනෙක් නෙමෙයි. මේ අක්කා කෙනෙක් නෙමෙයි. මේ දෙන්න මල්ලිලා අයියලා. ඉතින් අයියේ මේ අහන්න අපේ සල්ලි දෙන්න කිව්වද මට කෙලින්ම කියන්නේ මල්ලි රංජා කියලානේ කියන්නේ. ඉතින් රංජන් අයියේ මේ අහන්න රංජා අයියේ මේ අහන්න අපේ සල්ලි අපිට දෙන්න කිව්වනම් මම වගේ කියනවා.
Nationalist candidate of the Democratic National Alliance, Damitharatna says the use of children for political gains should be stopped with immediate effect.
මේක දේශපාලනික අරමුණු වෙනුවෙන්
Let's stop using children for political gains. We saw this message being displayed in the past few days. Brother Ranen, you have a public image. I request you not to tarnish that image for political gains. If there is someone spending on behalf of this party, do not use children for this purpose, especially university students.
නෝ කෙනෙක් ඉන්නවා නම් ඒ අය මෙවැනි දේවල් වලට දරුවෝ පාවිච්චි කරන්නට එපා. විශේෂයෙන් විශ්වවිද්‍යාල ශිෂ්‍යයින්. රංජන් රාමනායක පාරජු කියනනේ අපි දන්නේ මේක මේ වෙන කන්න. නෑ එහෙම කියන්න බෑ.
No, that cannot be said. This is not something you can save yourself from so easily. Like I said before, Ranen is someone who stood up against corruption. I'm not telling this to you in anger. I'm telling this with love. You are sibling to me. Don't say such irresponsible things on behalf of your party. Be it 5,000, 2,000 or even 1,000 rupees. If money was promised, it should be given to them.
5,000 හෝ 2,000 හෝ රුපියල් 1,000 කියලා කීයක් හරි ලරුවන්ට දෙනවා කිව්වා නම් ඒක දිය යුතුයි. මං කියන්නේ රංජනයි මේ වගේ තමුන්ගේ පක්ෂයේ වෙනුවෙන් කියලා හෝ එහෙම අසාධාරණ දේවල් වෙනුවෙන් වගකීම් විරහිත ප්‍රකාශ අපි නොකරෙමු. ඒ කියන්නේ සල්ලි දෙනවා කිව්වනම් දෙන්න ඕනේ. පොළු තියන්න එපා.
Do not abandon them, because if he does so, he won't be able to stand his ground on the promise he made.
සමහර කණ්ඩායමක් කියනවා මේ one shot දැන් 2500 shot දෙනවා කියලා.
මට ඒකට උත්තර දෙන්න බෑ.
I cannot answer that. One Shot was a creation that became very popular in the country. Being a leader of the country is not something like being an actor. It is a responsibility to be held accountable to 22 million people. Therefore, if you have made a promise, you should fulfill it.
වචන වගකීම් යුතු දේවල් අපි කරන්නේ. ඉතින් ඒ නිසා මම හිතනවා one shot 2500ක් දෙනවා කිව්වා නම් දෙන්න.
One shot knockout වෙන්න එපා.
Yes, One Shot should give out the 2,500 as promised instead of being knocked out.
දෙනවා කිව්වා නම්.
The Lanka Janatha Party commented on this matter.
Ranen Ramana මහත්මයාගේ ප්‍රධානත්වයෙන් පැවති දේශපාලන
An uneasy situation which had turned violent had occurred during a political rally headed by Ranen Ramana. Some of those people were waiting to give money, which means they had participated at the event for money. We were aware of this before as well, where people were given 5,000 rupees for attending rallies. We thought it was just hearsay. But now it is clear that money was paid to induce people to join the political rally headed by Ranen Ramana. They had told the people that they were being taken for a certain program. It is now evident that their brand of politics is to deceive the people and mislead the masses. If they are hoodwinking the people from initial stages, there is nothing left for us to discuss.
A public rally organised by the New Democratic Front for the upcoming general election was held in Aturugiriya this afternoon. The rally was headed by party leader, former President Ranil Wickremesinghe.
පාර්ලිමේන්තුවෙන් තමයි ඊළඟට අපේ ආර්ථිකය ගැන තීරණය ගන්න.
The next decision on our economy will be made by the parliament. So, we need people who are experienced on the field in the parliament. Can we have people who do not have any experience at the Pradeshi Sabha in the country's parliament? We have reduced the primary account deficit from 12% to 8.3%. Next, we have planned to prepare the 2025 budget using this. We had agreed to hold discussions with the IMF prior to drafting it. Following discussions with the IMF, all we had to do was inform our sovereign bondholders. But what happened? We did not make a decision when the IMF delegation arrived in Sri Lanka. We did not reach an agreement. They said they will hold discussions in New York. In Ratnapura on Saturday, President Anurukumara Dissanayake stated that these proposals will be implemented when drafting the budget. Today's paper says that these discussions have not yet concluded and will be concluded after the next budget. What were these decisions? We should be informed on this. We should know this.
ඒක අපිට කියන්න ඕනේ. ඒක අපි දැනගන්න ඕනේ.
Meanwhile, a public gathering attended by the leader of the Samangi Jana Balawegaya, Sajith Premadasa, was held in Kolonnawa yesterday.
බරපතලම කාරණාව තමයි IMF එක හිටපු ආණ්ඩුවට කිව්වේ ණය ආපහු ගෙන්න.
The most serious issue here is that the IMF initially advised the previous government to start repaying the loan in 2033. However, the former president and the government agreed to begin repayments not in 2033 but in 2028. If we had time till 2033, we would have 9 years for our country to strengthen itself. Now we only have 4 years. In 4 years, can we realistically accelerate our economic growth, increase our exports, boost export income, and expand our dollar reserves to tackle this enormous debt repayment challenge? The truth is, we can't. Therefore, it is crucial that a majority of Samangi Jana Balawegaya members are elected to parliament, and our government is established to help steer Sri Lanka away from impending difficulties in 2028 and negotiate with the IMF to push the repayment timeline closer to what they originally suggested beyond 2028.
මේ ක්‍රියාවලිය අර IMF එක මුලින් කිව්වා වගේ 2028න් එහාට දාගන්න.
This is what Prime Minister Harini Amarasuriya had to say during a public meeting in Puakpitiya last evening.
තාම මතක තියාගන්න අපිට තියෙන විධායක බලය පමණයි. ලෝකයේ තියෙන කුඩාම කැබිනට් එක හරහා තමයි අපි මේ විධායක බලය ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්නේ. ඒ පද්ධතිය තුල
Remember, we only hold executive power as of now. We are executing that power through the world's smallest cabinet. We are systematically implementing changes required within the governance system and political culture. You did not expect media fiascos or deceptive stories from us. We presented you with the truth. You all spoke to us and we were able to build trust. That is the foundation required to build a nation. We have taken one step by clearing up executive power and transforming it into a people-centric force. Comrade Anura assured you that once we win the presidential election, he will provide you with the opportunity to clean up the parliament too. He is fulfilling that promise first by dissolving parliament. On the 14th of November, you will be granted the opportunity to clean up the parliament similar to how you did with the executive.
ඔහු ඉෂ්ට කරලා තියෙන්නේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුව විසිරුවා නොවැම්බර් මාසේ 14 වෙනිදා ඔබට අවස්ථාව වෙනවා පාර්ලිමේන්තුව සුද්ධ කරන්න. ඔබ විධායක සුද්ධ කරා දැන් පාර්ලිමේන්තුව සුද්ධ කරන්න ඕනේ.
Fiery debates in Sri Lanka's political arena are commonplace. But what has become of our nation amid those intense debates? Here is another deep dive.
What happened to Sri Lanka?
The Ging Nilwala project was launched by the Ministry of Irrigation. However, the agreement of the project stands null and void by today. Despite this, a payment of 4,011 million rupees, which is around 4 billion rupees, had been paid for initial planning of the project. On the 5th of November 2014, Sri Lanka's Ministry of Irrigation inked an agreement worth $690 million for the Ging Nilwala project with China's EPC. How big of an amount is $690 million when converted to rupees? An advance payment of 4.35% of the total agreement was paid to the contracted company. In US dollars, it translates to 29 million. In rupees, that number is a staggering 4,011 million rupees. According to the terms of the agreement, if the project is not operational within a year, the contract will be terminated without the mutual consent of both parties. Accordingly, as per the defined terms, the agreement was nullified on the 5th of November 2015. Although there was a possibility of converting the advance payment into cash, it was not possible to obtain it due to the lack of approval from the cabinet to allocate the advance amount as the expenses for the first phase of the project. Another important fact was that an environmental impact assessment and feasibility report was required for the advance payment to be released. But authorities had failed to conduct such assessments or obtain approvals from line agencies. The then Secretary to the Prime Minister informed via a letter dated June 23, 2016 that this project should be carried out exclusively in relation to the Nilwala River and requested that a cabinet memorandum be submitted for this purpose. Worryingly, an agreement was reached with the contracting company to implement the project for the sections of both the Ging and Nilwala rivers, which are in close proximity to the Singharaja Forest, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, in complete contravention to the request by the Prime Minister's Secretary. Given the potential adverse environmental impact of this project, institutions including the Department of Forest Conservation rejected approval for it. On one hand, it was a risk to the World Heritage Site of Singharaja. On the other hand, it was a typical case of public funds being squandered.
The procurement process had been avoided at every point. It was either that or they had pretended to have carried out the procurement process just to get their work done. I saw the Ging Nilwala project being discussed in your What Happened to Sri Lanka segment. The loss the country incurred through this is 4 billion rupees. The contract had been signed with the contractor without any tenders being called. A decision had also been taken to pay off the whole cost before 2015 in 3 installments. However, the project has not been launched to this very day. It was a cabinet decision. I believe the husband of a female minister who was also mentioned in the Pandora Papers is also connected to this incident. Even after this amount of 4 billion rupees has been fully paid, if you visit the official website of the Ministry of Irrigation, you would see that this project is also shown as an ongoing project. However, where they have started this project is not known to anyone. There is nothing to be found.
While it is pertinent to question what happened to Sri Lanka, one must also ponder how we can address such large-scale malfeasance.
The power of the people.
The Sri Lanka Computer Emergency Readiness Team, also known as SL-CERT, has announced that complaints have been reported over another scam conducted through WhatsApp. A complaint in this regard was lodged at the CID today.
What is the latest scam?
The scam is conducted through a WhatsApp message sent requesting for money. It is directed from a contact which is already saved on a user's WhatsApp account. The content of the message requests money from a particular person, claiming that the sender is short of funds to complete a transfer. SL-CERT says they have received 4 complaints related to the scam by today.
If you use the WhatsApp messaging service, you might receive a message from someone in your contacts requesting for money. Since the message is sent by someone known to them, people are likely prone to agree to it. What you need to remember is that this particular message may have been generated because the sender's WhatsApp account was hacked. In such an instance, contact the relevant person through another method to confirm the authenticity of the message and do not transfer money. That is our request from the general public. The WhatsApp accounts of users are initially hacked by a third party, obtaining the OTP to gain access to a particular account. Once the hack is complete, the cyber criminals proceed to text the contacts in the victim's account by sending this message requesting for money.
What have the victims experienced?
The message synonymous with the hack had been directed to several WhatsApp users through former parliamentarian Mujibur Rahman's account this morning. The former parliamentarian lodged a complaint with the CID in this regard earlier today.
My contacts on WhatsApp had received this message through my WhatsApp number, portraying it as a message sent by me asking for money. 2 bank account numbers have been sent as well. I came to know about it through a friend of mine. I wanted to complain to the CID about it, for it to be probed and swift measures to be taken. This is a very severe issue.
How can you avoid this scam?
So WhatsApp accounts around the country has been hacked because of these certain situations where people shared their 2-factor authentications with other parties during certain situations. So never share these kind of 2-factor authentications code with any other parties. Those 2-factor authentication codes that you're getting from SMS or other mediums, it's only for your purpose, for you to log into your social media accounts. So try to make sure to verify whatever the messages that you're getting from people like suddenly that you have never received of. So try to verify whatever the messages that you're getting from the people as well during this period especially.
The Court of Appeal today ordered that the petition filed against the decision to widen the road passing through the Sinharaja Forest Reserve, which has been designated a World Heritage Site, be called for hearing on the 23rd of January 2025.
The petition, which was filed by the Centre for Environmental Justice, was taken up for consideration before the Court of Appeal judge bench comprising Justices Mohammad Lafar and P. Kumaran Ratnam. The judge bench criticised the postponement of the case in this manner, stating that it was inappropriate due to the absence of a state counsel to represent the respondent party. The judge bench stated that a state counsel must be appointed promptly for this case. The petition states that the government of Gotabaya Rajapaksa, who was the president at the time in 2021, made a decision to widen a road passing through the Sinharaja Forest Reserve, which has been designated a World Heritage Site. The petitioners also state that the decision was made without conducting a proper environmental assessment, arguing that it violates the provisions of the National Heritage Wilderness Areas Act. Therefore, the petitioners requested the issuance of an order to suspend the relevant decision and to take legal action against those responsible for the destruction caused during the widening of the road. The respondents named in this petition include the Director of Wildlife Conservation, the Central Environmental Authority and the Director General of the Department of Wildlife.
Train operations along the Mahava-Anuradhapura section of the Northern Railway line resumed today. This comes following the completion of renovations to the Northern Railway line. The renovations began in January this year.
Following the completion of renovations to the Mahava-Anuradhapura section of the Northern Railway line, the Yaldevi train began its journey to Jaffna today, departing from Colombo Fort Railway Station this morning.
ඇත්තටම සතුටුයි ආපහු තල්ලරණට කෝච්චිය යන එක අපිටත් පහසුයි කෝච්චිය යාපනයට යන්න ලැබෙනවා නම්
තම්රාදුරේ මාසෙකට දෙපාරක් විතර යනවා ඉතාම සන්තෝෂයි
හොඳ වැඩක් බස් වල හරි හිර වෙලා යනවට වඩා ඇත්තටම ගොඩක් හොඳයි නිදහසේ යන්න පුළුවන්
The Yaldevi train arrived at the Anuradhapura railway station at about 10 a.m. today. Following the renovations to the railway line, the train driver shared insights on the current operating speed of the trains.
This is the first time we are operating the train following the renovations of the Mahava Anuradhapura section of the Northern Railway line. The track has been well refurbished, however, we have not yet been cleared to run at full speed. The current speed limit is set at 60 kilometers per hour.
The Yaldevi train arrived at the Jaffna railway station at about 1 p.m. today. The train reached its final destination at the Kankasanture railway station at 1:40 p.m. Passengers shared their views on the journey upon arriving at Kankasanture.
කෝච්චිය අතර පිරිසිදුයි ලස්සනයි.
මාස 6කට විතර පස්සේ තමයි මේ ජාල්දේවි ට්‍රේන් එක ආවේ. අපිට බස් එකට වඩා යාපනයට එන්න ඇවිත් යන්න ට්‍රේන් එක තියෙන එක හොඳයි.
Food parcels valued at around 10,000 rupees were handed out to 300 low-income families in Kandy today.
These food parcels were gifted with the contribution of Chinese monk Sri Dahund and other Chinese philanthropists. The program was organized under the supervision of residents of the Malvathu Mahavihara and committee members Venerable Doranagama Ratnapala Thero and Venerable Mahavala Ratnapala Thero, presided over by Mahanayaka of the Malvathu chapter, Most Venerable Thibbatuave Sri Sumangala Thero. Furthermore, scholarships were also awarded to 10 children from low-income families.
News First with the people.
Central Bank Governor Nandalal Veerasinghe has said that the next review of Sri Lanka's IMF program will be delayed.
Central Bank Governor Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe announced that the next review of Sri Lanka's IMF program will be delayed without specifying a timeline. According to Reuters, Sri Lanka held discussions with its bondholders in Washington last week to negotiate a debt exchange aiming to expedite its exit from default status. The talks, which took place on the sidelines of the IMF World Bank meetings, are part of the country's broader efforts to restructure its debt. Citibank has been appointed as the dealer manager to oversee the consent solicitation, a crucial step in this process. The country defaulted for the first time in 2022 amid a severe economic crisis. In September, Sri Lanka reached a principal agreement with creditors to restructure $12.5 billion in international bonds. Earlier this month, the International Monetary Fund and official bilateral creditors endorsed the proposal. Despite these efforts, the delay in the IMF review adds uncertainty to Sri Lanka's financial recovery timeline. The IMF had previously stated, following a visit to Colombo, that it would continue to work with Sri Lanka's economic team to schedule the third review. Looking ahead, Veerasinghe expressed optimism about the country's economic prospects, predicting a growth rate of approximately 3% in 2025, contingent on the swift implementation of economic reforms.
Japan signed a $1 billion portfolio guarantee with the World Bank.
Japan has signed a $1 billion portfolio guarantee agreement that will scale up financing from the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development for projects that address global challenges. The guarantee falls under a new portfolio guarantee platform with leveraging ability that allows Japan's $1 billion commitment to enable new funding of $6 billion over 10 years. The platform permits shareholders with high credit ratings to step in if a borrower fails to pay back a loan from the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, a member of the World Bank Group. Japan is joined by 14 other countries in pledging commitments to new World Bank financial instruments, which also include hybrid capital. These commitments could potentially expand World Bank lending by more than $72 billion over 10 years.
And that's a wrap of Primetime News for tonight.
Thank you for watching. Good night.